Hello YouTube, this is Stefan. I am also Noriko Morte on the Gravestone Review. I'm part of Team Taisaku, and I am doing my deck profile on my Orichalcos deck. This is a deck based off the Seal of Orichalcos. It also runs a lot of deck and grave special summons. Now there are a few cards missing because my staples are in another deck and that one's missing right now. But I will explain which cards are replacing those as I go along. I'm going to start with my monsters. First we have one Songen, of course, because he is limited, but he also is a good searcher. He helps me get a tour guide. We have Morphing Jar, because I run Dark Wolves in this deck because they do a lot of grave and hand summoning. Plus it's a good card for when you run out of hand, and you need one in this deck quite a bit. I run two tour guides because my main part is to get Zen mains out, multiple Zen mains and then activate the seal. That way, when Zen mains is when the Seal of Orichalcos blows up Zen mains will save itself and then give me a free destruction. I run two Thunder King Ryos because it wrecks a lot of decks that are not ran nowadays. Plus, the Seal of Orichalcos is out on the field. It is a 2400 beater. Next, we have two Jinzos. With the Seal of Orichalcos, it becomes a 2900 beater, and plus it stops your opponent's traps, so it's a great card to run to wreck over Mirror Force and stuff. Sorry about the camera work, it's my phone and I'm having to hold it. I run two Malefic Stardust. Malefic Stardust is great because it stops your opponent from being able to get rid of the Seal of Orichalcos. Plus it becomes a 3000 beater, and it's a quick special summon. Malefic Cyber End, 4500 beater, special summons from the hand. I only have one, wish I could run two, but I only have one right now. Mech Lord Emperor Wiesel. I have learned that it does come in handy if you can't draw a field spell and you have a Malefic in your hand. Special the Malefic, and then you can bust out Wiesel. Plus, it comes in handy for when your opponent has Mirror Force or any other nasty traps face down, and it gets rid of any of your monsters. Granul, great card. He comes in handy, same as Wiesel, but if it's near the beginning of the duel, he becomes a 4000 beat stick. Plus, with the Seal of Orichalcos, 4500 beat stick. Plus, it wrecks any synchros, same with Wiesel. The only difference is Wiesel can get rid of spells once per turn, so that's pretty handy. Now for draw power, I run 3 Brow. Brow is great. I run a few discard cards for this, but I use them to try to get the Seal of Orichalcos in my hand as soon as possible. So next we got 2 gold, becomes a 2800 beater plus special summons for the hand when discarded. Well, grave, but discard from the hand becomes a special summon. I also use Brow because of tour guide searching, same with Songen. So we run True Grapha. Grapha is a great card. It special summons from the graveyard all the time. Your opponent gets rid of it, it comes right back. With the seal, it becomes a 3200 beater. And I also have a backup field spell, so I'll get into that in just a moment. Now we have our spell cards. And of course, writing the spell cards is the Seal of Orichalcos. Recently released by Konami. It used to be used for a event known as, well, I can't remember what the event was called, but people from Upper Deck Entertainment, there was only 36 seals released and they ran the anime effect. But when it came, this card blows up all special summons, so Zen mains is great to get out first. Plus it gives 500 boost and your opponent can't target your weakest monster on the field. So good card. As I said, main piece of the deck. Love the board for this deck. Gates of the Underworld. It's a great card for draw power and to take the place of the seal for until you draw it, or if your opponent gets rid of it, because seal can only be used once per duel. I'm thinking about getting a second Gates just because I've learned that it would come in handy with this deck. Terraforming, obvious reasons. Running a field spell, gotta have it. Gets a field spell to your hand. I forgot to do that with this. Then we have 2 Mystical Space Typhoons. Mystical Space Typhoon is great. Play it face down. Sometimes your opponent accidentally hits Mystical Space Typhoon instead. If I'm right, one of these is replacing my Night Beam right now. So, either way, Night Beam, Mystical Space Typhoon, they're both great cards. Make sure. Nope, there's Night Beam. Okay, so, I don't know what. 2 Mystical Space Typhoons and Night Beam, great back row control. 2 Dark World Dealings, mostly for Brow. You know, draw Brow, activate one of these, draw an extra card, or drop Grapha or Gold, something, just dropping for power. Card Destruction, Dark World Engine, you know, gotta have it. Because it runs all mostly dark monsters, Allure of Darkness. If I'm right, the only card I couldn't banish would be Granule. Field Barrier. You gotta have this. It stops your opponent from activating any field spells. So you play this, your opponent can't use field spells, which is the Seal's main weakness. Is if you play a field spell, it gets rid of it by a ruling, not a card effect. So, Field Barrier comes in handy for that. Dark Hole, staple, you know, gotta have it. Oh, that's what one Mystical Space Typhoon is replacing Heavy Storm right now. This is replacing Solemn Judgment. I just throw it in there. I will be posting the true deck in a few days. Alright. 2 Calls, Grave Summon, 1 Chain. This is replacing Magic Cylinder. Your opponent does not expect this. I have had people attack me with Excalibur, and I bust this and gone. Your opponent takes the 4,000 instead of any of your monsters. Torrential. It might be replacing Mirror Force, but I'm thinking about making this a main card. Yeah, it's not. Yeah. Torrential Tribute comes in handy. Your opponent summons. You have nothing to lose. Draining Shield is replacing Mirror Force, and so is Sakura 2 Armor. Now we have the extra deck. Running Malefics, you have to have their regular, so 2 Stardust, 2 Cybrands, and my favorite, 3 Zenmaines. By running 3 Zenmaines, I can, if I draw into 2 Brows or whatever, I can get it out. If I can get Zenmaines out, as I said, he comes out, materials on him, activate Seal, Seal blows him up, he saves himself. If my opponent doesn't have anything I want to blow up, I can target Seal because Seal will save itself. But yeah, that's my Seal of Orichalcos deck. I built this deck because nobody else probably would have thought about it. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. I would love to know what you think. Any ideas would be greatly appreciated. This deck has pretty much just been one big slap to the face for most people. The one thing I hate is running into Dark Worlds because it would be pretty close to a mirror match. But that's my deck. Hope you enjoyed. As I said, comment, subscribe. You got it.